if you want to live in a tolerant society, you're going to have to embrace the fact that you must be tolerant of people's intolerances. It's just the way it goes. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it goes. I'll give you some good examples of things from my history where I've gone, just made me go, huh. Now, one example is, I can't remember, maybe at secondary school, but it's a standard Church of England state school deal. So you have assembly and then some uninspiring droning hymns and then some more uninspiring prayers before they talk about whatever the hell they were talking about, like the usual bullshit. And you'd have this one boy, I think he was like a year or two above me, and when it came to like the religious stuff, he'd stand up and he'd walk out and he'd wait outside and then he'd be called back in when it was all over. And as I remember it, he was Jehovah's Witness. Now, when they were pretty, the school was in the countryside and like it wasn't very diverse. Just in case you're wondering. So but I even remember some Muslims there who didn't stand outside for the religious bits, as far as I remember. But anyway, but the point is that I don't know. I'm pretty sure he was Jehovah's Witness. But anyway, the point is, all right, stop grilling me. The point is that his parents had obviously said, look, this is the way it is with our kid, all right, and I don't want him exposed to any of this silly nonsense. I want them exposed to our silly nonsense. Thank you very much. And they have every right to do that because it's their kid, it's their child. Okay, state-enforced religion is not a thing in the UK. Anything state-enforced, you've got to question and go, I'm not sure about that. So that's an example. And here's another example when I went to university and sold out and regretted it as a mature student surrounded by snotty-nosed idiots. No offence to all the friends I made there, but your nose was a bit snotty. I remember it was in the toilet of all places and in the cubicle. So they, which is good because sometimes you need to have something to read to like ease the pressure. And I was just there reading good, and it was like one of their policies towards intolerance, basically. Saying, and I swear to God, if there is one, and it said, we will not tolerate any intolerance to like people of different faiths, homosexuals, blah 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 blah, all that stuff. And I was like, well, hang on, you won't tolerate intolerance. Well, and I started making jokes about it with people, but I was kind of serious. I was like, well, where's the tolerance towards my intolerance towards gays? I'd usually say this to my gay friends. It's just because I could get away with that kind of thing. Just for jokes. We were going, well, where's the tolerance for my intolerance? Thank you very much. And they were like, but it is a point, isn't it? It's like, you don't have to tolerate stuff. It doesn't mean you say we won't tolerate violence. It's like, you don't have to go around, just because you don't like something, you don't have to go around headbutting people. Those people are idiots. Like, clearly. If you don't like something, it's like, alright, you don't have to like it, do you? You don't have to burn it to the ground. You don't have to stone them to death. That's for nutters. Clearly, can we just, when did we lose the definition of what a nutter is and what a nutter isn't? I guess words are just twisted these days. That's why I don't really like them that much. That's why I'm getting a relationship with someone who doesn't speak English. Now, so if you want to tolerate the beliefs of I don't know, not all Muslims, but these bunch, this lot, then you have to respect the fact that they don't like this. They don't like the LGBT plus or LGBTQ plus, or even the Independent are getting it wrong. Isn't it LGBTQ plus? What's LGBT plus? It needs to stop adding things to it and just call it something new, because it's just becoming too much of a mouthful, isn't it? But the point is, if they don't want their children learning about it, that's up to them. And if you want to be tolerant of all people's beliefs and faiths and blah 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 and rights, then you kind of have to go with it, because it's it's their children, it's their kids. They're not your kids. No, it's not the state's kids. It's not the country's children. It's their children. This is basic rights stuff, right? The government shouldn't impose belief systems on people. Saying, no, your children must learn how to be gay. It's like, come on, just chill out. Like, just, all right. And they need to, I mean, the fact that they're protesting it as well. And obviously, this is where you have this uncomfortable alliance of, these ideologies. One's like, oh, respect all cultures, instead of like, well, how about, which is it going to be? Do you have to assimilate into British culture and accept the fact that we are a liberal, or we're a liberal nation, apparently, like, that accepts everyone's beliefs and ways of life, and you're going to have to, like, understand these things, and this is the way we do things, assimilate, knuckle down on them, or you just be like, no, we can all coexist with these completely conflicting belief systems. I don't know, like, and this is what brings out all these problems that have been brewing up for a long time, of people just going, I don't like that, or no, I don't like this, whichever one you have. Would I care if my kids were being taught about homosexuals and stuff? Not particularly, no. It depends, but it depends on what they're teaching them, to be honest, like how deep it goes, like, because it's not the norm, but it's like, but people are different. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be the norm for it to be good. Not everything has to be regular and normal. That's the beauty. Like, why can't some of us want to be fucking weirdos and ostracized by society? It makes us cool. Yeah? Look at me. Oh, you regular kind of guy. Look at me. Totally wacky. But this is becoming a problem, and they're still protesting. So it's like, what are you going to do? And now look, so the police chief in Birmingham is stepping in, like, over protests at schools. So protests against the LGBT plus equality lessons in Birmingham should come to an end, as they have no place outside primary schools, the senior police chief has said. I think protests have no place anywhere these days. They're just annoying. West Midlands Police is also investigating a number of criminal offences that have taken place outside Anderton Park Primary School in Birmingham, added Chief Constable Dave Thompson. I'm the Chief Constable, Dave Thompson. The school has been the scene of daily protests for several weeks. It's quite funny, it's outside of primary school, you got protests. Imagine it. Officers were at the school earlier this week after demonstrators said hundreds of pupils were withdrawn from lessons to protest against children being taught about same-sex parents. So we know all this kind of stuff. The force also received reports of assault and criminal damage on the road of the school over the weekend, as well as reports of malicious communications received by head teacher Sarah Hewitt-Clarkson. She told trade title Schools Week, which is a riveting read if you ever get the chance, that she had been accused of being a paedophile in one voicemail. That's a great one, isn't it? Just going, you bloody paedophile. Having received abuse from protesters based outside the school gates for weeks, Ms. Hewitt-Clarkson called on the force for support earlier this month and said there were police markers on her house. The force chief constable has now stepped in to express his increasing concern over the protest. A primary school is no place for the continuance of large-scale protests, he said. In this holy period of Ramadan, as we celebrate pride in our city, I urge those involved and those who can influence these events to think again and consider how they come together to discuss these strongly held views and bring this protest to an end, he added. Well, I don't think they're going to budge on it. Like, you got to hand it to certain communities and stuff. They're like, nah, that's not happening. Like, they're going to have to fold on this one. They're going to have to withdraw the lessons, because I don't think they're going to back down out of this. But then when you're in the state school system, it's not like you got a choice to send your kids somewhere else because of catchment areas and all that nonsense. So, it's difficult, isn't it? His comments followed claims that LGBT plus activists were pelted with eggs outside the school. Oh, look. People being pelted with food. because of their beliefs. In the last 24 hours, a number of criminal offences have taken place that the force will investigate and seek to bring people to justice, he said. As a citizen of this city, I've observed I'll just slip into Birmingham. These protests and the rhetoric around them with increasing concern. Westminster Police values and celebrates the diversity of this area. We believe the strength of this city is in tolerance and diverse communities. Sadly, this is not the image of Birmingham that these events are projecting around the country and the world. Well, you need to tolerate their intolerance, my friend. That's something the police wouldn't ever understand about anything. Police and Crime Commissioner Dave Jameson, who supports the work of Westminster Midland Police, said that protests and threats have no place outside the school gates. He added, teachers should be free to get on with teaching a full curriculum that highlights and explains Britain's full diversity without fear of protest or threats. Speaking to school leaders earlier this month, Ofsted Chief Inspector Amanda Spielman said it was unacceptable for parents to intimidate teachers carrying out LGBT plus classes. Damien Hines, Education Secretary, has also called for more dialogue between schools and parents. I don't think they're going to back down on this one, and I think Education Department, well, I think these schools are going to have to just admit defeat on this one, especially coming into Ramadan as well. I worked for this company that did lots of taxi transfers. The majority of the drivers for a lot of areas were Pakistani and Muslim, and when it came to Ramadan, it was that's when everything went to shit. To be honest, because it's just grumpy people. It's just very grumpy. It's a very grumpy period. Is what I say that. It's got to be at it. You spend all day fasting. There's going to be some hungry grumps protesting outside a primary school, and they don't want you teaching their little boys and girls how to be a bit gay. I think, I don't know, probably might ramp up, because if the police what's going to happen when the police get involved, and the police constantly tiptoeing around these sort of things, going, oh no, it's fine, you can have your police, but come on, chill, calm down, lads. What are the police going to do if they refuse to stop protesting? Because you can't. Because it's the right for people to protest. That's because it's a free and open society, is it not? But are the police going to have to clamp down? Are they going to have to put their paws on protesters and say, no, enough is enough. We told you to stop. This stops now. We're the police. We're going to batter you. Then you're going to get some problems. Imagine if there's a full-scale riot because of gay classes in primary schools. Now that will be that'll be an interesting chapter in British history, that's for sure. People will write about in years to come the riots because of gay classes for little kids. Wow. Yeah. Exciting times ahead.